What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Welcome back to the greatest afternoon show in the world. At least that's how I feel. AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 107. 107. Remember, y'all, stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Hope everybody had a beautiful day today. A beautiful day. It is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026, year of our Lord. And like always, we got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss, and a lot of things to review together. Why? Because this channel is a place where we can review things together. I give you my opinion. You tell me if you disagree with anything I said. That's the main thing we want to talk about. We need to have more discussions in this world. That's why everybody's fighting and killing each other nowadays. At least that's my opinion. But hopefully everybody had a beautiful day today. It is the end of the day. We're doing it a little early today. It is 5 o'clock. Hold on, let me pause it for a second. Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. Things never stop. Things never stop. But like I said, we got a lot of things to talk about today. We're going to go through a couple of things today. 4 different topics. Like always, we go through 4 topics. Unless I'm feeling crazy and we'll go over 5. But we got 4 different things we'll talk about. One, we got a mother of 3 who was shot 10 times in the bed beside her children. This happened months ago, but this story is getting more details. So we're going to look into that. We got the Timothy Busfield, who has been wanted for child is weird. Very weird. So we're going to get into that as well. Then we got 3 inmates who were killed in the Washington State prison in Georgia. And then lastly, it looks like Iran's restored communications, and we're getting more details about that. So I did want to look at this stuff as well. But the first thing we're going to be talking about today, like I mentioned, we're going to go over to the mother of 3. Yes, the mother of 3 shot in bed with her kids. And it looks like the baby father might have did it. So let's get over into that. We got a few videos to look at. The first thing we're going to be looking at is the 9, because it happened about 9 months ago when this was first reported. So we'll look at that. And then we'll look at the most recent video that came out that everybody's talking about. So let's get into it and see what we can find out.
A mother shot nearly a dozen times while her 3 kids slept by her side. The father of those kids accused of staging a murder and making it look like a home invasion. A Fox 35 News exclusive interview. For the very first time, we're hearing from close friends of that mother. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Luann Sorrell. Fox 35's Manny Martinez is live in Orlando tonight. So Manny, that boyfriend allegedly had his cousin shoot him in the arm to make it appear like he was a victim too.
And Luann, that's all laid out here in these 36 pages for the affidavit for the suspect's arrest. These are usually no longer than 5 or 6 pages at most. So that shows you just how intensive and extensive this investigation has been. Deputies say it came down to good old-fashioned detective work. And tonight, the woman's friend and the sheriff's office say the suspect's story just didn't add up. More than 1 year since Portia Streeter was shot and killed while she was asleep with her own children, her friends are still grappling with the loss.
She was a God-fearing woman. And, you know, if you got to know her, you know, she had a gentle spirit.
She's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Deputies say Sean Range, the father of Streeter's 3 kids, worked with his cousin, Benjamin Garman, to kill her and even stage a home invasion. Streeter was just 30 years old. Family and friends describe her as a loving mom and a gifted hair and makeup artist.
She was so talented. You could show her a picture, and I guarantee you, you were going to look like the picture that you wanted.
She died
You have to be one. Hold on, let's keep going.
January 13th, 2024. Neighbors heard gunshots around 9:30 that morning, but detectives say Range called 911 2 hours later, after the alleged shooter came back and shot him in the arm. We spoke with a neighbor who didn't want to show his face on camera.
He was asking for help and, starting, knocking on people's doors. I was like, oh my God, something really bad happened.
Range told detectives someone forced their way into the apartment, demanded money, went into the bedroom, kicked his 10-year-old son in the head, and started shooting Streeter. In the investigative paperwork, detectives say they found that story unfathomable, adding Portia Streeter's well-being and safety was clearly not his priority.
How dare you pull someone's life away from them? How dare you do God's job? How dare you strip someone of their future? So how dare you strip 3 beautiful kids of their mother?
And deputies laid out some possible motives here in this case. They say the suspect was upset his ex was in a new relationship. The two disagreed over the custody of their children, and deputies say the suspect was having some money problems while she was not.
So jealousy. But so there's a lot of things to unpack just from this because remember, this is 9 months ago, and we got another video we're going to look at from the most recent new details. But so he tried to say that the killer came back 2 hours later and shot him in the arm. That's the first red flag. And then he's talking about the killer kicked his baby, his baby. So did he kick his own baby, or was there no bruises? There's a lot of different questions, but you got to be one sick SOB to kill the mother of your children while they are in bed with your. Oh, that's crazy. Let's go over to this next video and see what other details they give us.
Well, 2 years after a deadly shooting, the court case moves forward for the suspect or suspected accomplice of what deputies say was a staged home invasion murder. As West 2's David Jones reports, 2 men were arrested in an Orange County mother's killing, and one has now been transferred into Orange County custody.
Investigators say 30-year-old mother Portia Streeter ran a hairdressing business from her apartment, which became a crime scene. In January 2024, deputies responded to find Streeter shot to death and her boyfriend, 32-year-old Sean Range Jr., who was shot in his upper arm. A year and some change later, the Orange County Sheriff's Office arrested Range for the killing, saying he orchestrated the whole thing, along with Benjamin Garman, making it all look like a home invasion.
So it took them a year just to find him. I'm not going to stop it too much.
You're now in a situation where you are looking at life in prison.
Criminal defense attorney Trey Flynn, who's unassociated with the case, says the brutal nature of the killing elevates it.
This is a very, very, very serious crime. In this situation, Mr. Garman is alleged to have shot somebody not just one time, but 10 times. And what does that mean? That means there's an aggravation there in this sort of homicide case. You're not going to be able to claim self-defense in this sort of situation.
This new mugshot of Garman was taken when he was transferred to Orange County custody. He was previously being held out of county on federal weapons charges, to which he pled guilty.
They executed the search warrants on a residence that he was at after the homicide took place. During that time, they located firearms in the residence, and the federal prosecutors felt, hey, as a convicted felon, as somebody possessing firearms, this is a case that is of interest of us.
Investigators allege Range and Garman set up the home invasion killing because of a custody dispute between Range and Streeter over their shared children, and because Range said Streeter was hiding money from him. David Jones, West 2 News.
You kill your own baby mama. You kill your own baby mama because you're fighting with custody over, and she got more money than you? That's what it comes down to. It sounds like it to me. She hiding money. The only reason you complaining about her hiding money, it's not like they were going through a divorce. It doesn't sound like they weren't married unless I'm missing something. We'll get into the details with the AI breakdown. But you first of all, you shoot the mother of your children while she's in the bed with her children. Try to fake it as a robbery. Get your homeboy in it. So y'all both going to jail. You get him to help you out. And all this is because of a custody dispute, and she's hiding, and you think she's hiding more money from you? Or she's hiding money from you? Ladies, I've said this plenty of times. Be careful who you decide to lay down and have kids with. At the end of the day, you have to be careful. Because it's not just a one-time thing. Especially if you have kids with somebody like this, you are tied to them for the rest of your life. And they could be someone crazy just like this. And you will never know until you start to get into a new relationship. Y'all break up. He asks you for money. You tell him, nah, I ain't got no money. Then he's like, oh, no, you lying to me. So he goes up and gets his friend to shoot you 10 times. Or him to shoot you 10 times. Crazy situation. Let's get over into this AI breakdown just to see a little bit more details about this whole situation. So like they said, in January 2026, details emerged regarding the 2024 murder of 30-year-old Portia, a Florida mother of 3 who was shot multiple times while sleeping in bed with her children. So the incident happened January 23rd, so almost exactly 2 years ago. She was shot 10 times in her apartment while she was in the bed with her 3 children, 10, 2, and 1. None of the children were physically injured during the attack. So that's a good point, because remember, he tried to make it seem like the robber or whoever the attacker was when he set it all up was that they came and kicked one of the babies. So no injuries to the children. So the children's father initially told investigators that the shooting was a home invasion, that he had also been shot in the arm while trying to protect the family. So in April 2025, investigators determined the scene was staged, that the father and an accomplice, Benjamin, that's the dude we saw that last video, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. They allegedly motivated by custody dispute and a disagreement over money. Ladies, like it just goes, ladies, be careful who you lay down with. So federal charges. So the father has recently pled guilty to federal weapon charges related to firearms found during the investigation. And then the accomplice is scheduled for arraignment on the 26th of this month. So I did have another question. What were the details of the custody dispute and the financial disagreements? So investigators identified the toxic and violent relationship between the father and the mother, citing several specific motives. So full custody goals. So the father claimed that the Portia was supposed to grant him full custody of their 3 children. Text message evidence. So final text messages between the pair directly contradicts the father's claims, making it clear that Stella had no intention of giving him full custody. How you lying? And some people are stupid. So hidden money. So detectives alleged that the father was angry because he believed that the mother was hiding approximately $20,000 from him while still asking him for money. So why do you get... and then hairdressing business. So Streeter operated a small hairdresser business from her apartment, which may have contributed to the financial tension. So there's some infidelity accusations. So they told, this father told investigators that the mother was upset over his own infidelity, and he believed that she was in a relationship with another man. And then leading up to the shooting, the couple engaged in an intense argument via 22 phone calls and numerous texts. The mother accused the father of stealing her apartment keys and phone charger, demanding he return the keys because she feared for her kids and children's safety. So a friend of the mother provided police with photos of injuries she allegedly sustained from the father just days before her death. So he was a woman beater. He was a wife beater, or they're not married, so a girlfriend beater or woman abuser. Overall, it's a crazy situation. There was a lot of details that the father tried to give to work his way out of the limelight, as you can say. None of them made any sense. He's making up stuff, and then they got evidence that just completely contradicts what he was saying. I'm happy that he was caught. I'm happy that he wasn't smart enough to try to even to. I'm happy he wasn't smart enough to get away with it. That is the big thing. Because if he was smarter, he might have got away with it. But at the end of the day, it's all about ladies, please, or no matter, not just ladies, people, please, men or women, choose your partners carefully. Choose the mother of your children carefully. Because you are stuck with them. They say you can say 18 years, but you're stuck with them for the rest of your life. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Especially if you want to be a good, how I would hope most people want to be good parents. If you want to be a good parent, you're in your children's life for life. You're in their lives forever until you die. You're not going to take care of them all your life, but you're going to be in there visiting them, all that stuff. So choose who you decide to take that journey with carefully, or you can end up just like just like her. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We'll wait to see and hopefully see what he gets sentenced with. But nothing short of life. This is a crazy situation. You don't care. You didn't care how it's going to make your children feel. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. But like I said, let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We're going to pivot now into the next topic we're going to be talking about for the show. And we got to go over to Timothy. So Timothy Busfield, I might be saying his name wrong. I didn't really know this actor, but he was wanted. He has been caught now, but he was wanted for, it sounds like, child sex abuse. It just goes to show you you'd never know who could be one of them freaks. So now we don't know the whole details about it, how old she was or anything like that. But let's get into the details and see what we can learn about this whole situation. It's a crazy scene. But at the end of the day, like I said, you can never know who will be about that life. But let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Happening right now, federal agents are joining in the manhunt for actor and director Timothy Busfield, known for many roles, including on West Wing. There's now a warrant out for his arrest after accusations that he inappropriately touched 2 children while working with them on a show. News Nation's Alex Capriello joins us live. So, Alex, what all is going on here?
Yeah, Nicole, I just spoke with the Albuquerque Police Department, who confirmed that it's now working really closely with the U.S. Marshals to try to track down and arrest Tim Busfield. The U.S. Marshals, if you don't know, they're highly trained professionals, most often utilized when trying to track down dangerous and high-profile fugitives. Busfield rose to fame for his role in Revenge of the Nerds, Field of Dreams, and The West Wing, of course. The heinous nature of the accusations of crimes against children and his status as a well-known Hollywood actor and director makes him a high-value target wanted for capture. Busfield is wanted for alleged crimes he committed while directing the show The Cleaning Lady from 2023 to 2024 in New Mexico. According to a criminal complaint, during that time, 2 young actors, only 7 years old, claimed Busfield touched them inappropriately in private areas while on set. The docs lay out a pattern of grooming where Busfield would shower them with gifts and praise, but also kiss, grope, and fondle the boys in a bedroom on set. But a legal analyst we spoke to says the investigation is still in its early stages and accusations made from children are not always reliable.
More details need to come out, but if it's true, 7 years old. There's some demons in this world. There's some people who. Let's keep going.
Mr. Busfield is presumed not guilty, and these are allegations stemming from several years ago when the minor was allegedly 7 or 8 years old, and the minor has given conflicting accounts.
So Busfield has not addressed these claims publicly yet, but we do know his side of the story based on what he told detectives, which he said is just not true. He said instead that this is a story being made up by the entire family because the boys were fired from the show before that final season. However, this is also important. Detectives also discovered a series of allegations made against Busfield dating all the way back to the early 90s, Nicole, in which he inappropriately touched women. That includes a 17-year-old girl. In both of those cases, charges were either not filed or there just wasn't enough evidence to prosecute.
All right.
Now, could it be made up? There's a possibility. We can't say that. We have to wait for more evidence to come out to say if he was really doing it. Because there are people who will go after rich and powerful people and use the sexual assault allegations to try to have them settle in court. So yes, that's a real times that we are living in. But he still has to be investigated. Still has to be investigated. You still got to go through the whole process. Because it's sad to say, but it's the people you least expect. It's sometimes the people you least expect to do some of the most horrible things to children. But we'll have, he is innocent until proven guilty. That is the country we live in. Let's see if they say anything.
Alex Capriello with the latest. Thank you.
That's it for this video. Let's go over to the next video where it looks like he released, it might have been released a statement from TMZ. Let's see what it's talking about.
Hi, everybody. It's Tim. I'm sure most of you know that are watching this that I was ordered to come to Albuquerque. I'm here now. I got the call Friday night. I had to get a lawyer. Saturday, I got in a car. I drove 2,000 miles to Albuquerque. I'm going to confront these lies. They're horrible. They're all lies. And I did not do anything to those little boys. And I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it with a great team. And I'm going to be exonerated. I know I am, because this is all so wrong and all lies. So hang in there, and hopefully I'm out real soon, and back to work. And I love everybody for supporting me. Thank you.
Okay, that was his statement from that I'm assuming that TMZ got, basically just saying that this is complete lies. So we don't know facts yet. They don't have any evidence. They haven't released anything like that. So we just have to wait for the trial and the case investigation to work its way through. So innocent until proven guilty. Let's go over to this next video. See if they tell us any more details about it. Let's jump over into it.
NBC News has learned that Emmy-winning breaking news out of New Mexico. NBC News has learned that Emmy-winning actor Timothy Busfield has turned himself in to authorities. His surrender comes just days after a warrant was issued for his arrest by the Albuquerque Police Department. The 68-year-old actor, who is married to TV star Melissa Gilbert, is accused of child abuse and sexual contact of a minor. The allegations stem from his time on Fox's The Cleaning Lady, a TV crime drama series Busfield directed and acted in. It ran for 4 seasons, ending this past June. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas has been following this story for us. And Chloe, I know things are still unfolding right now, but what do we know about him turning himself in?
That's right, Kate. Well, just a few moments ago, I spoke to a representative for Timothy Busfield who says that he has presented himself to authorities. That is the language that they are using. They're not saying turning himself in, but we know that the U.S. Marshals Service was helping New Mexico authorities try to locate him, but he did present himself in New Mexico. And now we're going to see exactly what he is going to be charged with, potentially see a mugshot this afternoon. And is he going to be able to make bail today? Will he have to wait for a first appearance hearing? Could that mean that he remains behind bars overnight? And as you said, on Friday, this explosive arrest warrant was issued for Busfield, with authorities saying in a criminal complaint that they had been investigating allegations as it pertained to two brothers on the set of Warner Brothers' The Cleaning Lady. Like you said, Busfield directed, starred in this, and that the mother of these two young boys had allegedly talked to her sons, learned that allegedly Busfield had been inappropriate with them on set, and then that's when she filed a police report. And Busfield, though, knew that this was potentially coming because there are transcripts in the criminal complaint, Kate, of himself and authorities. His wife, Melissa Gilbert, is present for some of those calls as he's talking to authorities, denying any sort of wrongdoing to authorities and saying that there was a playful nature on set, that he knew those two boys, that he directed them, but that maybe some tickling, but nothing that was sexual in nature.
And in this arrest affidavit, I think it was, there were other accusations made about past events as well.
So that's another part of this here, is that several years ago, Busfield was accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a teen girl, but that case was settled and he denied any sort of wrongdoing, and he continued to work. No criminal charges were filed. He continued to work in Hollywood and have a very successful career on shows like The West Wing, obviously being married to Melissa Gilbert for over a decade. And Melissa Gilbert has been very public about child sex abuse, right? And very public about her stance on it and how she had some things that made her uncomfortable while she was a child star. She even wrote an essay about that earlier this last year. Now we're in 2026. But again, we have not heard from Timothy Busfield's legal team on the record just yet. And obviously this is all unfolding in real time.
All right. And bring us more if you get it. Thank you so much, Chloe.
Absolutely crazy situation, no matter what it is. But like I said, he is innocent until proven guilty. He is innocent until proven guilty. They have to... If he did do it, he's a sick SOB. If he didn't, then the mother is putting up the children to just try to get a payday. At least that's my thinking. But we'll have to wait for more information to come out. Let's go through the AI overview like we like to do. So we know on January 13th, the actor turned himself in to authorities. So legal charges, he is charged with 2 counts of sexual contact of a minor and 1 count of child abuse. It looks like it was happening between 11-year-old twin boys. So the alleged incident between November 2022 and spring of 2024 on the set of The Cleaning Lady, which Busfield directed and acted in. So the victims, the boys who were child actors on the series, reported 7 and 8 years old when the abuse began. According to a 13-page arrest warrant, the children reportedly unwanted touching, and one boy has been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety. So the police department began investigating in November 2024 after a doctor at the University of Mexico hospital raised concerns. So prior to surrendering, Busfield released a video to TMZ denying all allegations. And that was the video we looked at. Horrible lies. So his wife, actress Melissa, deleted her Instagram account shortly after the allegations became public. Crazy situation. Well, at the end of the day, we got to wait for more information to come out. I would hate to think that children are lying, but it could be the parents put them up to it. But it could be the fact that he is just a sick pedophile who likes abusing children. But we'll have to wait for it to come out. At the end of the day, watch over your kids. And if it's all a lie, men, be careful what you're doing around children, because anything close like that, it can put you in a weird situation for you to be targeted for any kind of financial blackmail or just using it against you. But the main thing, we want to make sure the children are okay. So if they truly were abused, the person who abused them needs to spend the rest of their lives in jail. But tell me your thoughts, y'all. Tell me your thoughts. Do you think it's a shakedown? Do you think he was actually a pedophile? They mentioned past crimes where he was messing with a 17-year-old girl, but it's Is it a big jump to say that he was messing with 7-year-old boys? It's a crazy situation, y'all. Crazy situation. But like I said, let me know if your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Look after your kids and be careful. Absolutely crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. We're going to pivot to the next topic we're going to be discussing today. And we're going to go over to, we got some inmates. We got 3 inmates who were killed at the Washington State Prison in Georgia. Now you're asking why do we care about inmates being killed in prison? It's a normal thing. Yes, it's a horrible thing that murders happen in prison. But this one's a little different because it looks like it spilled into the visitation area. So I don't know what was happening, but we'll get over into that and see what this is happening. And it looks like one inmate was, I think they said, days away from being released. So we got 2 videos to look at and see what we can find out about this whole situation. It's a crazy thing, no matter how you look at it. Crazy thing. So let's get into it, see what we can find out.
An investigation is underway tonight as 3 inmates are dead and a correctional officer injured. That's after an altercation at the Washington State Prison Sunday night. The men and the prison are on the screen behind me right here. Ahmaud Hatcher, Jimmy Trammell, and Teddy Jackson died in what officials believe was a gang-related fight. Hatcher was serving 20 years related to an aggravated assault from here in Richmond County. Jimmy Trammell was serving 20 years for first-degree burglary out of Fulton County, and Teddy Jackson was serving 10 years for aggravated assault in Bibb County. Maggie Fitzgerald reports from the Washington State Prison tonight.
Inside Washington State Prison, a Sunday brawl left 3 inmates dead and families searching for answers. But an eyewitness telling us today it all happened inside the prison's visitation area, where she says a group of inmates burst through the door, bloodied and armed, leaving visitors scrambling.
It's really just now hitting me how dangerous it really was, how much worse it could have been.
Tonight, an eyewitness says it all happened in seconds. A routine Sunday visit with a loved one at Washington State Prison turning into a nightmare. The witness asked to remain anonymous for her safety, but she says something felt off when she saw guards bolt out of the visitation area Sunday afternoon, leaving one female officer inside.
Something going on. We heard very loud, almost yelling coming from the walkie-talkies. You could hear her say, "Don't open that door, you can't come in here."
Shouting from the guard, first directed at inmates deeper into the facility, then to visitors, telling them to get out. The witness says the group overpowered a guard, taking his keys to then break into the visiting room.
The prisoners that were trying to come through the door were right behind her, hot on her heels, because there's blood and weapons, and they just busted through a door. They're standing between us and our loved ones.
The riot-style attack left 3 men dead, including 23-year-old Ahmaud Hatcher. Hatcher's family says they are demanding answers and accountability, claiming he had warned his mother about unsafe conditions inside the prison.
A piece of my heart just was torn out of my chest. He was scared of his life. They were a cause of my son to get killed because they wasn't doing their job.
And Sheriff Joel Cochran says the scene was secure and all inmates were accounted for by 6 p.m. on Sunday. The GDC is investigating.
Now that is a crazy situation because it could have ended way better if the inmates who busted through the door were if the inmates who busted through the door wanted to do something crazy to the visitors. I wonder why. Is it their protocol to only leave one officer in the visitation area when there's visitors? I feel like there should be more officers to protect the public because that's their job. But I guess they might have felt that one female officer was good enough. Let's go over into this next video where they mention about the inmate who died, who was about to be released. So let's get over into that.
In Georgia, I'm standing in front of the Greyhound bus station where they were set to have a family reunion on Wednesday. They had it all planned out. Jimmy Trammell, he was going to be released from that prison in Washington County, catch a bus here to this Greyhound bus station and start his new life. But he was killed 4 days before his release.
He did 10 years in his prison, and he didn't make it home.
Home. It's where 42-year-old Jimmy Trammell expected to be Wednesday after 10 years as an inmate with the Georgia Department of Corrections for felony burglary charges.
He was going to be taking the bus back here, and he needed to be picked up from the bus station. And I was going to pick him up from the bus station, but I didn't get that chance.
According to Aquinas, his brother Jimmy Trammell was killed Sunday as fights broke out in the Washington State Prison in Washington County. Trammell is one of 3 inmates who were killed. The Department of Corrections saying Ahmoud Hatcher and Teddy Jackson are the other 2 inmates. At least 13 other inmates and a corrections officer were injured. Aquinas got a call from the warden in the early hours of Monday morning.
She just said he was involved in an altercation and he lost his life.
For Aquinas and Trammell, the past 10 years have been rough. They lost both of their parents and 2 siblings, but Trammell's release was a chance at a second life, the turning of a new leaf.
He talked about proving to me a better side of him than what I know, and that was taken away from me. And I need answers. I really do.
The Department of Corrections say this all started as an altercation on a sidewalk between inmates that were a part of gangs. Within 2 hours, though, they say they had this under control. But Trammell's family now obviously planning a funeral instead of a reunion. We're now live here.
Absolutely crazy situation. Don't go to jail. That's simple. That's what I'm learning from this. Do not go to jail. Jail is not the place for us, for anybody. At least not for me. I don't know about y'all, but it's not for me. I'm not built for it. There's no need. That's why I like to be a law-abiding citizen. That's crazy. It's always something. It's either you about to retire a couple days before you retire from like cops. A couple days before they retire, they end up getting shot and killed. Inmates who are a couple days from getting out of prison, killed in a gang fight. It's just don't go to prison. Please don't go to prison, because you don't know if it can just be a la-di-da experience, or it could be the worst experience of your life and you end up losing your life, all because you wanted to do some criminal activity. But let's get over into the AI breakdown to see if they tell us any more details about this whole situation. It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. So like they said, on Sunday, January 11th, a gang-related riot at Washington State Prison in Georgia resulted in the death of 3 inmates. So they've identified the victims as Jimmy. They already talked about him. So 42, 23, and Teddy Jackson. So they were serving 20 years, and 10 years. The violence erupted at 1:25 p.m. On an outdoor sidewalk that lasted around 90 minutes before being brought under control at 3 p.m. In addition to the 3 fatalities, roughly 12 to 14 other injuries. Other inmates were injured, and 1 correctional officer was injured and required hospitalization. Eyewitnesses reported that a group bloodied inmates, some armed with weapons, overpowered a guard and forced their way into the prison's visitation room while families were present. No visitors were injured, but they had to be scrambled to safety by staff. It could have ended terribly. If the inmates would have ended up killing visitors, the whole prison would have to go under investigation. It still need to do a big investigation. Why was there only 1 officer watching out for the visiting staff, or for the visiting families? That seems like a more than 1 person job. But so the current status of the medium security facility remains on lockdown while Georgia's Department of Corrections conducts an investigation. That's good. So crazy situation, y'all. No matter how you look at it, it's a crazy situation. 3 inmates lost their lives, 14 injured. 12 to 14 other inmates injured and 1 correctional officer. I would like to know how they died. Did they die from stabbing, gunshot? I'm assuming they were killed by another inmate. Jail is not the place. Jail is not the place you want to be. Jail is not the place that anyone needs to be. You think you're about to get out and you end up dying in a gang fight? But the question stirs, I want to know, was he participating in the riot? Because I don't know how it works, because I've never been to prison, but if a riot happens, can you just stay out of it? Because if I'm getting out I always do that. If I'm getting out in a few days and a riot happens, I'm gonna stay in my room or stay in my cell. Is that an option? Or are they gonna look at you like a punk because you're not rioting with them? I'm not trying to make any of these types of decisions. Overall, it's just not a good situation. It's a terrible thing that he died. That 3 inmates were killed. But this is something that this is something that happens in prison. Inmates getting killed by other inmates. It's a crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. We're going to pivot over into the last topic we're going to be discussing today. The last one. And we're going to go over to Iran. We're going to go over to Iran. A lot of protests have been happening. We talked about that. The U-Haul that smashed through the Iran protests in LA. So it looks like Iran has restored communications. It looks like it was out for, I think, since January 8th when they cut communications for internet and all that stuff. So we got a few videos to look at to see what this whole situation is about and what we can learn about the situation. When a country cuts off your only method to communicating with the world, it's a crazy thing to think about. It's a truly crazy thing to think about. It makes me happy to be in the United States. But let's get into it and see what we can learn from this whole situation.
Were able to make phone calls out of the country for the first time in days after authorities restored some communications following a deadly crackdown on nationwide protests. Activists say at least 646 people have been killed and nearly 11,000 detained during 2 weeks of unrest. Witnesses describe a heavy security presence in Tehran with burned government buildings and smashed ATMs. Top Iranian officials, including the president and foreign minister, joined pro-government rallies in Tehran on Monday, seen here, one of several pro-regime rallies that were also held in Iran yesterday. And President Trump not sitting quietly as Iranian officials crack down on these protests. Scripps News Deputy Political Director Joe St. George joins me now. He is live at the Capitol. Joe, good morning. The president, we heard, threatening to slap heavy penalties on countries doing business with Iran during this period. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. This is one of those stories where it's unclear where we go. Is this a story that diplomacy ultimately wins out? We've heard from President Trump talk about the possibility of diplomacy, or is this a direction in which we're heading in which potential military intervention in Iran occurs? What we do know, what has transpired in the last 12 hours or so, is economic pressure that the president is putting on Iran. We have this Truth Social post from the president from yesterday in which he said, quote, effective immediately, any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States. This order is final and it is conclusive. It's important, as we've said at the top, this is a story about human life. I mean, north of 600 people have died, according to the Associated Press, citing activists in the region as a direct result of the recent uprising, the protests in Iran in recent days. President Trump himself has said that Iranians are seeking freedom to the degree in which we haven't seen, at least in several years. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt outlined in great detail yesterday where things stand and how all options appear to remain on the table at this point. Take a listen.
I think one thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many, many options that are on the table for the commander-in-chief. Diplomacy is always the first option for the president. He's told all of you last night that what you're hearing publicly from the Iranian regime is quite differently from the messages the administration is receiving privately, and I think the president has an interest in exploring those messages. However, with that said, the president has shown he's unafraid to use military options if and when he deems necessary, and nobody knows that better than Iran.
And what the White House press secretary was referring to there is in the first year of this second term, President Trump struck Iranian targets, Iranian's nuclear program in Iran during his first year. There was an order to take out General Soleimani, who's had longstanding ties to the regime. Of course, when any U.S. president is at least discussing the possibility of military strikes in Iran, it comes with risks. And one of those risks is the potential for retaliation from Iran, especially against U.S. American forces that are based. Many military bases are in the region. Retaliation could happen in other forms as well. As far as the Iranian government goes, Iranian officials, they have once again emphasized their desire for some sort of peace here, but they have also said in recent hours that they are preparing for war as a possibility as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on, obviously, any developments out of the White House on this Tuesday.
So a potential civil war in Iran. Let's keep going.
President Trump posting on Truth Social, Iranian patriots keep protesting, take over your institutions, help is on the way. He will hold an emergency meeting with Secretary of State Rubio. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Brian Mast is going to join me. He's joining me right now. Does the president have to act now? It seems like he's not in a corner, but he's made threats. The Iranians have responded with more killings. Does the president have to act now?
The president is responding to the situation on the ground there, which is thousands of Iranians are being killed. And I think we are in a moment where my personal assessment is regime change is almost inevitable there. And that's more so because of the regime. Number one, everybody knows they're hugely dictatorial. They'll kill thousands of their people, but the people have responded to the point of something almost unheard of. They've killed several hundred of government security forces. That's unheard of. You could take an American George Washington $1 bill. You go down to the currency exchange, they're going to give you back about $1 million to $1.5 million reals for $1 American dollar. It's literally the most worthless currency. They can't provide basic things like water, and they're spending any extra dollars that they have in supporting groups like the Houthis and Hezbollah for points of terrorism around the world. Those things cause me to assess that regime change there is about inevitable. They probably have jets standing by to take them to Moscow with as much wealth as they can carry. I hope all of their neighbors are prepared to not grant them airspace.
So you think that they can be overthrown without military action from the United States?
I think military action from the United States is something that the MO of this administration is to help get significant hurdles out of the way for people to move to a point where they have a hopeful future. Whether you're looking at what took place in Syria, whether you're looking at what just recently happened in Venezuela, one morning operation, and the Venezuelan people have an opportunity to get to the point of free and fair elections. I think the writing is on the wall right now for what's going on with Iran, that there's a few significant hurdles. Those hurdles are moved out of the way. There's a totally new opportunity for the Iranian people.
On Thursday, President Trump hosts Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, at the White House. Does Trump want her to lead the new Venezuela?
I think President Trump is going to assess her. I would say two things about her. Number one, I think she's going to show up with a large amount of gratitude for what President Trump did in Venezuela. And that goes a long way with the administration. I think he's going to want to see that gratitude for the significant actions that took place. I think number two is he's going to be assessing her, sizing her up. Are you strong enough to deal with those significant forces, China, Russia, Iran, who want to be direct adversaries in the backyard of the United States of America? Is she strong enough to deal with them? I think that's the assessment he's going to be making.
President Trump's pushing for a deal with Cuba, but their president is refusing to negotiate. He says they're going to defend themselves, quote, to the last drop of blood. Can there be a deal between the U.S. and Cuba?
I've heard similar things from leaders like Maduro. I would tell the Cuban leader, maybe go take a visiting hours visit to Rikers Island, talk with Maduro about what his stance was, and understand that the United States of America, we are in a new era of defending the American homeland above all else, whether it's with our carrier battle groups in the Gulf, whether it's against illegal immigration on our borders, whether it's against drugs, whether it's against the cartels in Mexico or drugs coming out of Colombia or anywhere else. This administration, this president, above all, will at all costs defend the American homeland, and that includes against Cuba.
Now, we got a lot of things happening all around the world involving the United States and Trump and the United States needing to make a decision. Let's get over into more information about the Iran communication being lifted.
We are starting to get our first look at what's happening inside Iran after 4 days in the dark.
The situation there is deteriorating, with more than 600 demonstrators now feared killed in the last week, though opposition leaders say the real number could potentially be in the thousands. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
After 4 days of being cut off from the world, information is slowly starting to trickle out of Iran, where demonstrators have been facing off against security forces for more than a week. There's said to be heavy security in the capital, Tehran. One witness told Fox News the protest sites resembled a battlefield, with police using live ammunition against protesters. Some experts say it's a sign of desperation.
Their economy is in free fall. They're suffering from a shortage of water. All of those things have fueled these protests, and it threatens Iran's regime.
But Iran's government is claiming the situation is under control, even as the death toll continues to climb.
Our people have shown that they defend Iran with full authority and complete courage.
Tehran says communication with the White House remains open, and they're pushing diplomacy as President Trump threatens military action, though some administration officials say a U.S. strike on Iran is not imminent.
Right now, it's really a matter of watching what is an organic movement coming up from very, very disgruntled, rightfully so, Iranian people.
And most experts agree if the U.S. gets involved, it likely won't cause a regime change.
It's really unclear whether this sort of intervention will result in much.
Iran is also said to be moving sensitive equipment and military hardware to bomb-proof bunkers in preparation for possible American airstrikes. And defense forces in Israel are now on high alert for possible Iranian airstrikes that could follow any U.S. intervention.
My dad wasn't one.
Absolutely crazy situation, no matter how you look at it. To think that partial communication is restored, and there's so much information is being brought out about it. Now, tell me your thoughts on this whole situation, y'all. Tell me if you do you feel like the U.S. should act on this, or do you think that we just need to stay out of it? Overall, it's a crazy situation. Limiting communication and killing 600 people, more than 600, or over 600 people protesting is a crazy thing to think about. If we're being honest, it makes looking at the protest that happens in the United States doesn't even look anything close to this, to what when the federal agents break up any kind of protest or start arresting people. It's a totally different world. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's absolute craziness out there. The world is a crazy place. The world is a crazy place, but we have to review the world together. We have to review the world together. Like always, y'all, I'm going to always say it. Thank you for watching now. Thank you for watching later. You don't have to tune in. These videos will be broken down, but if you want to tune in, please do. Let's talk about it. Send me some comments. Y'all can make some comments on the video. We can discuss this stuff in real time. I'm not going to say I know everything. Of course, I will never say that. So if you have a different view on things and I might be misunderstanding something, please talk about it. Let's have a good discussion. That's the main thing about this channel. It's a channel where we can review the world together. We talk about this stuff together. That's what's happening. That's what's wrong with the world right now. But y'all, like I always say, thank you for watching. Remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. I will be back tomorrow, probably starting around 6 o'clock tomorrow instead of 5. It was a little earlier today. But hey, we cannot miss. We cannot miss. So we are here Monday through Friday, usually starting between 6 and 7, but you will know a few hours before. That's it for now, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.